What we're going to talk about right now is the issue that a lot of DJs are facing, and they're chiming in about it quite often, and that is the censorship. I would say, form of censorship. I don't know. Um, these strikes, and let me explain to you the difference between sites before we get into this. So this is what I've gathered so far. Facebook and Instagram sort of are basically the most relentless when it comes to finding you finding out that you've played something that is a violation of copyright. Twitch, they'll find out. Oh, and Facebook will respond by either muting your stream while you're going or full on taking you down. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Twitch, they are currently actively searching your stream for a violation of copyright. They're not muting your stream live, but they will mute your stream after the fact. So if you tried to catch it on demand and something was playing, that's going to have a mute on it. YouTube, you have 3 strikes. And if you are in violation of copyright for the 3rd time, they take your channel off. They cut your channel completely, is what I've heard. I don't know. I don't have 3 strikes, but this is what I've gathered so far. You guys familiar with all that?
That sounds
pretty
legit.
So let's go around the room. First of all, we've got Andrew. Andrew, put your hand up. I don't know where you at. There you are.
Right here.
He is a label boss for Freaky Music Group. Well, I'm going to talk about yourself for a second, man.
All right. I'm Andrew. Grew up in the Bay Area. I like long walks on the beach. Actually, I do. Yeah. No, born and raised in San Jose, 30 years. Got married, had kids. I was a touring musician for about 10 years. Played on, with an independent label called Ohm Records. I was in a group called Unique. We were a 3-piece, brother and sister and myself, and we toured, quite a few of the states. I think it was like 30 of, or 20 of the 50 states, and it was fun. It was a good long run. But now I'm back up here, a little 100 miles up north in Elk Grove, California, 20 minutes from Sacramento, where I met Billy. And I run my music studio here, do mix and mastering, and I really enjoy just performing and making people sound great. Billy's on my label, so I started Freaky Music Group about 10 years ago. Been collecting artists here and there. We've just been it's been a collaborative effort to get everybody up and running and just getting their music heard and published on iTunes. You know what I mean? That's where you want to be, so you get out to the masses. So I'm happy to be here and hang out with you guys and answer any questions.
Thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Next, we have Evan Friel, Max Headroom, rocking the talk box. That's an amazing background, by the way. I got to compliment you on that.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
By the way, Digit DRT asked if this is primarily for commercial music. No, this is something that's happening across any music that is not yours, basically. Now, obscurity does fall into your favor, but it doesn't mean that you're home free. Go ahead, Evan. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I just don't know if if my effects. See, I can't hear the effects, which is fucked up.
You just went to the dub zone for a second there.
But I wish I could hear it. I actually can't hear it because I must not be plugged in correctly. But the other thing is that I think last week when we did this, you had the music coming in through the channel through Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
It's not right now.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I didn't want a doubling because I didn't know how it was going to work with the group thing. So.
Okay. Well, then how aren't we all going to critique new records?
No, that's going to happen later. That's going to be me and you later.
Oh, okay.
And I'll flip it on.
So we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out later.
We'll figure it out later.
What's up, man? I'm Evan Friel, formerly known as DJ For Real. I've been living in the Bay Area 20 years, and before that, born and raised in New York City, longtime drum and bass soldier, and happy to be here.
Appreciate you being here, brother. All right, coming up next, Alex, let him know.
Yo, I'm Alex Diaz, longtime DJ, first-time streamer. My most recent job was working at Dubset Media. We were the first company in the world to legally distribute DJ mixes to Apple Music and Spotify through licensing that we obtained from record labels, both major and indie. So yeah, if you got any licensing questions, I'm happy to help.
Outstanding. I'm really excited to get all of your perspectives on this because we all have a unique perspective, and I think it falls in line with what a lot of people that are listening right now want to hear. At least want to hear that it's happening to them too, at the very least. And it is. Everybody is catching this, unless you're on some 1% level. Shout out to Alex the Kings fan for the follow. You're dope. Appreciate that. So, okay, Andrew, from your side, from the label side, what can you do can you have the ability to say, thanks, appreciate that, Elements. I'm giving people permission to play this music on Facebook. Do you use like a checkbox or something that you can say with the distributor, it's okay? We're one of the cool ones.
Of course there is. Not. No, there isn't. As far as I know, and I've been running the label for 10 years, it's I go through a distribution called InGrooves out of San Francisco, and they actually just got bought out or merged with another company, which we won't talk about right now because it's very complicated.
Sure.
So if I have music published, or one of my artists like Billy or El Conductor or any of the artists on there, or Live Mannequins from Sacramento, and I go and put it on my Freaky Music group, since I am the label, I go and shoot it a little clip up on YouTube. Sure enough, I'll get hit with a copyright strike. They won't necessarily slap my hand as hard as you think you would, but you keep doing it and they will, and they'll take it down. And then it says, oh, InGrooves, my label, distro, owns the music. And they're like, okay. And that goes to say with Instagram, and even streaming on Facebook. It's very hard. I mean, there's ways to get around it, but it costs money and you have to know people. I'm pretty sure your boy over here is going to actually talk about it, Alex, because he was explaining prior to us streaming today. And I'm kind of interested to hear his perspective, but it's very frustrating as a label owner, and you're trying to promote for your artist, and you're getting shot down left and right. So that's where we're at right now. But I guess it's put in there in place to protect the artists and get them paid. So I'm kind of interested to see what this next year is going to bring after this whole pandemic thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So right, everything's at a halt, and we'll probably get into that a little later.
Yeah. I think that it goes without saying that there's some kind of change that's going to be ushered in from all of this, and it's going to be changed on a large scale in multiple industries, and who knows how that applies to what we're talking about. But it goes without saying we're in some weird times. I mean, look at us. So I would normally be getting ready for a gig this weekend. I haven't had a gig, and this is my 6th weekend coming up. No gigs. I've been in the house for 4 weeks. My hair is shaggy. I can't grow a beard. I'm trying, but Filipino in me just doesn't work. But I'm losing my mind, yo. Like, seriously, you guys, like, I'm like experiencing some weird, like, deep thoughts to myself, and like, it's a weird, like, isolation. I mean, my girlfriend's with me, so it's great. I'm not completely alone. I'm trying to reach out to my friends who are living alone right now. But it's definitely something that is affecting me on a weird level. And like I was telling Evan earlier today, I was watching something on TV, and it was like a scene at a bar where there's a bunch of people, and I started to like think that was weird already after a month. I'm like, look at all, like, they need to wash their hands. They need to separate a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, like, is our social fabric changing because of this? Any case, that's a deeper question for another day, I guess. So, Alex, okay, Andrew says that there's not a way for the label to really say, hey, it's okay. We like DJs. DJs are a promotional outlet, not a nuisance. We understand that the artists need revenue, but there isn't like a toolbox that says, don't mute this DJ for playing our song on a Facebook live stream.
Well,
what from the other side, the licensing side, Give us some insight. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, the reason there isn't that checkbox is because these deals with Facebook and Twitch and YouTube and all these things, they're set up on the back end, and they're like Andrew said, they're set up with a distributor, and a distributor like InGrooves is now owned by a major, and you have the three majors, and then like the fourth major, which is made up of all of the indie labels. They're the ones who form these deals on behalf of their labels. And no, there isn't a box, but I suspect that, like you said, things are going to change the next year. One reason being is there's a new law in Europe that's been passed already. It goes into effect at the beginning of next year. It's called Article 17, and what it does, it requires that any platform that uploads creative content enables some type of content ID service on the back end to make sure that no copyright violations are being hit before that content even hits the airwaves. And what I suspect is going to happen as a result of this is that all these people whose content is being used are going to see the efficacy of this and say, okay, we can make money off of this now. And you're going to start to see things like pop up like our service was, where we were being paid by, we paid labels out for their content being used. You're going to start to see that happen in Facebook, and it may pop up as a subscription service. But like I said, I mean, right now we're in this weird space where nobody knows what's going to happen because the labels really just want their money.
And honestly, like from as a DJ and somebody who is, I guess, an artist with releases out, right? I can understand where we're trying to get revenue from any angle that we possibly can. That is, there's no argument for me that the artists need to get paid. I buy music. I pay for music subscription services. I'm not like Team Pirate at all, and I never have been.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows me knows that. I think that this situation is money lost. Like
absolutely.
Like lots and lots of money lost. That is what is getting me is if they have the ability to cut us off, they have the ability to charge us to keep going. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, that's what that was one of the things that we talked about at Dubstep where I worked, was when we were distributing mixes for these labels, we were like, look, this content's going to exist out there no matter what you do. So you might as well get paid for it.
Yes, exactly.
And what you're looking at least with the majors, is you're looking at, forgive me for saying this, but it's still run by a bunch of old white guys. And it's slowly changing. It's slowly changing to be where you're starting to see young people say, hey, we need to grab this money. But it's still a very old guard group of people running a lot of these labels.
Gotcha. It's an old engine, old dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's changing. That's changing every day, and it's going to change. It's going to continue to change. I mean, we're in a way better place now than we were even 5 years ago. Think about the nature of SoundCloud when they first started doing those strikes and everybody was losing their accounts. SoundCloud has really loosened the reins on that, and it's a lot easier to put your content up there now, and you don't see your account getting pulled down, and you can even put DJ mixes there now with almost no repercussions. And that's because they worked it out with the majors. They proved to the majors that they can say, hey, we'll pay you for this.
I've had a drum and bass mix on SoundCloud for 10 years.
Did he get any strikes or get taken
Never
down?
got touched. I've never received any type of notice.
I had one that was up and it got taken down like 4 years after I posted it. Like they just unleashed the bots and combed their network for anybody who was anywhere any close, and it was really minuscule because I really tried to push the boundaries for those types of outlets like Mixcloud and SoundCloud. Try to make kind of creative mixes, right? As my counterpoint to trying to get away, evade the copyright bot. It was like a obscure like Jay-Z sample, and they still popped it. Like it was like
the concept, those bots are really, really good. So like, for example, our technology at Dubset was able to analyze like 2 to 3 seconds of data and tell you what song that was based on a 2 or 3 second clip. And what we were doing is going through each of these mixes and grabbing 2 or 3 second clips every few seconds to figure out what these songs were, and they were pretty accurate. So you can imagine our technology was something we created. You think about what SoundCloud or YouTube has. Content ID for YouTube, their content ID system is one of the best in the world. They get everything.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, you never know who owns knows who owns your music.
Right.
I mean, even obscure drum and bass songs, that could be owned by a major.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line. The sample that somebody sampled from another sample could be owned by a major.
I promise you that a lot of the staple, like, let's say golden era drum and bass of like late 90s, early 2000s, I mean, I could tell you firsthand that a lot of that stuff even had straight up domestic publishing, and it was rebranded here in the United States and sold domestically. Metalheads had London FFRR and all that stuff. I mean, like, it was, Evan could chime in on this actually.
Yeah, if you go look at a lot of Moving Shadow records also, they all have, even like the ones you wouldn't believe are even worth having publishing, they all have some kind of publishing on there.
Because Rob Playford got that stuff on Grand Theft Auto. I mean, he went ham on the publishing for all that stuff. And so, yeah, you're right. It's anybody that took the time to go through the paperwork, and if there's name is on the line, that bot's gonna draw the line from this to that.
And I gotta tell you, if you think labels are bad, publishers are even worse.
I believe
publishers are even more strict and even more crackdown, because there's way more money in publishing than there is in labels and the actual recorded music. It's all about publishing.
Oh yeah, they'll stick you even after many years. I had a question for Billy or even Alex or any one of you guys. So how did DJ D-Nice get a host a live social distant uplifting party on Instagram and get away with it? Is it just because it's celebrity? I mean,
yes.
How does it work?
Yes.
Okay. I
yes.
mean,
just like the whole Beatport thing.
Yep.
All of that is because, well, Facebook, for example, Facebook and Instagram, same company. Facebook has a music division, and within the music division are people that know all of these other people. And if a big DJ or a big artist or a big anybody wants to do something, they're like, oh yeah, you can do that, we'll set up the content ID for you. Questlove
has been going ham on all the major networks, including YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, for hours every night, raising money for victims. And big up Matt Height, appreciate that, man. And been raising money for victims every night, and he hasn't been flagged. And I know it's the same thing, and it's the same thing with D-Nice. It helps. My answer to that is it helps to have Zuckerberg in the chat.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
I bet.
Because he was in the chat, and there was a part in the D-Nice, I'm not kidding you, I didn't watch the whole thing, but there's a clip floating around where he's saying something like, I hope I don't get taken down in the type of vein, and literally like it's Zuck in the chat like, I got you, don't even trip. Like yeah, that's how you get away with it, as far as I know. Because I'm telling you right now, if there was a content creator's subscription service, and I'm not just talking about DJs, because DJs would be actually a very small percentage of this revenue. I'm talking about all of these people that are on Twitch, that are these popular streamers, these guys that are on YouTube that are popular personalities, these Instagram models. Every single one of them wants this license. They want to be able to put their favorite song on in the background and give that artist the revenue that they deserve for it in a fair price, and also use it as a part of their content creation. And honestly, like, I think that's a part of art too. Like, we really have to be able to do that in order to expand as a culture. And that's, that's part of art in general, is we have to be able to build on stuff like that and use it as influence in our creations. Preach on, I know. But I don't know anybody who, other than Alex, you seem to know more about this than anybody I've ever talked to, man. And that's this. I've been hammering this for years. Like, why is there not a content creator subscription service? They're missing out on all this money right now. Like, it does not make any sense.
It's. I got to be honest with you, and like, having worked in the space, a lot of the reason is because trying to get every label in the world signed up. You can't do anything unless you have all of the content. And the thing that we ran into at Dubset was we signed Sony, and we signed a bunch of independent labels, and then we signed Warner. So we essentially had a catalog of like,
that's big,
60 million songs to work from, right?
Yeah.
But even when DJs are uploading music, they just want to play whatever they want. And without fail, in so many mixes, we would run into like, fuck, we don't have that label.
Here's
or
one.
Here's Universal. Universal shows up in every hip hop mix. Every hip hop mix is on demand because they're the biggest record label in the world. So the thing is, when you're trying to figure out how to work for the content creator, you have to be able to work with all the labels. And unless you have something that really presents the labels with a lot of money, or you can pay the big labels a lot of money, it's going to be an uphill climb. We used to say it's like drilling through 600 feet of concrete with the jackhammer. You know what I'm saying? It just takes so long. And like, I'm sure there's going to be other people that come along and do this, but it's going to take a while. Like anytime you see something pop up like that, expect it to be, it's a long game.
So I guess
go ahead. Yeah, it took us a long time to do all that. So, you know, and that's the thing, is you're always dealing with these majors, and we have a really outdated system in this country.
Yeah, some sort of mechanical license, I'm guessing, is what they have an agreement with, and it's like pennies to the dollar, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the artists still get like a little small percentage of it.
They get barely anything.
Yeah, and the labels, they get all the benefits. But like you were mentioning before, and I was saying earlier, I think that this, with everything going on.
I got a question from the chat real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
In the F Star Music asks, in the UK they have limited online music license, LOML. Is there something similar to that here in the States? I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not familiar with that either. Okay. What does that cover?
Yeah, F Star Music, give us some more on that, and if you could. And one more from the chat. Big Up G916 says, what mechanism is in place that enables the strikes? Does social media platform you choose, YouTube, Facebook, IG, all use the same backend database? No. Okay.
No. So YouTube has, I don't know what Facebook's is called, but YouTube's is called Content ID. They all use a different service on their back end to do this. They all have access to the majors. The majors give them access to their catalogs generally through a company like an aggregator like MediaNet or something. They're a company that sits in the middle that uploads all of this data. They have data of all of the catalogs in the world, and then you're able to pull that data into your service and scour your service. So which is why sometimes obscure songs don't necessarily make it. They'll make it by,
right?
Because generally, if you don't have a lot of plays on the original song to begin with, the Content ID system isn't able to pick that up because it has no reference for that track to begin with.
Here's something that comes up sometimes too, and it's in regards to a specific site, Mixcloud.com. Okay.
Yep.
Mixcloud. Now their response is they're going to cover the royalties when they find the song, and they're going to pay for it in ad revenue and premium subscription service. You guys familiar with that?
Yeah, they operate like they're a radio station. They have a broadcast. They have like a broadcast license.
Okay.
And that's why with them, like, you know, you can't rewind while you're listening to a mix.
Right.
That's why. That's, you know, and you're only allowed to listen to like maybe a mix 3 or 4 times in a month or something.
So they found,
all of those,
gotcha.
Yeah, all of those restraints are because of the kind of license that they have.
Okay. Honestly, like, not a bad compromise. You know, can't rewind the track. I'm okay with that, I guess. Yeah. I mean, as a junglist, I guess I'll have to suffice with not being able to rewind.
You can start over, though. That's what you could do.
You can start over? Okay.
Yeah.
You just can't back it up.
Yeah.
And then, and the, as long as it, now does it, do you have to track list? Because you know how there's a track listing thing.
They used to require you to track list everything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't anymore, but they have a pretty robust Content ID system themselves too. They have really good Content ID technology.
And if you hear your music up there, you can actually write them, and the DMCA will take it. There's a form you fill out, and they're really good about taking it down.
Yeah, and actually that goes for YouTube too. YouTube is pretty good about. That's one of the other things is people aren't realizing is that there's 2 different types of like strikes you can get.
Mm-hmm.
You can get that live streaming strike that happens because the Content ID system picks it up.
Right.
But then there's also there's record labels who have teams of people who listen to the internet and to look for this stuff. and they'll send in a DMCA complaint to Facebook, YouTube, what have you, and say we need this taken down.
It's crazy.
So it's safe to say right now we're in a weird kind of wild west period for DJs and live streaming, especially. I think there's a lot of light being brought to this. Isn't an old subject. I mean, you've been working on this for how many years, Alex? Like this is not an old project of trying to be able to create a licensing avenue for content creators and DJs.
No, not at all.
And
this is something they've been doing forever.
Right. Right now we're kind of at a weird impasse because before it was like bedroom DJs that were complaining and nobody gave a shit. Let's be real. Like it's you're on Facebook, you're scrolling through, you see your buddy DJing, you give him the thumbs up, you watch for a couple of minutes and you go about your business. That's kind of what a lot of people are doing with this live stream shit. And I know I'm just be real. You know what I mean? I do it myself. And but with this Twitch thing, and now with like every DJ doesn't have a gig. From little old Billy Lane to Carl Cox is home right now, right? Like, so even anybody like now I feel like the issue is being raised. Like, okay, look at all of this money we're missing. Look at all these. Someone's got to be looking at this data and being like, all these DJs are home. It's copyright strikes out the wazoo. Our IT department is upside down because the bots are going crazy, and they got to be like, we're missing money here. Let's fast track this shit and create something to generate some revenue. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, especially at a time when we're all gonna be looking for ways to make money here in a couple months. Like, it's gonna be crazy. As soon as they stop talking about the ways to not spread it, they're gonna talk about what it did to the economy for a very, very long time.
Yep.
I mean, one for the history books, but. Well, guys, I appreciate your insight on this. I'm really glad that you guys stuck around. Evan's going to stick around. We're going to get into some drum and bass next. Anything else you guys want to add before we move on and start bumping some jungle?
Hey, just keep streaming. I mean, the more that this happens, the more that all these big players see that there's efficacy in this and making something work, then, that's how we're going to get anywhere. And I mean, let's be honest, DJ culture's come a long, long, long way. Absolutely. And we're all doing good work right now, bringing joy to people. So let's hope that there's going to be a lot of social change that comes as a result of this whole thing. A lot. Absolutely. Not just in music, in every avenue of life.
Yeah.
So we can all do our parts to make sure that some of that social change hits the music scene too, so people can continue to hear all this good stuff.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Andrew, got anything to say?
No, I agree with Alex. I mean, there's a lot of potential with what's going on right now and everyone being home. I think that the record labels are definitely going to put this under the microscope and recognize the artists are wanting to speak music. And yeah, I mean, this is revolutionary right now, what's happening, and us talking about it and having the stream and getting people involved.
This has been awesome, guys. I didn't expect it to go like this. This has been incredible. This has been amazing. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for having us on. Yeah. For sure. Let's hear some drum and bass, man.
All right, guys. I'm going to fix things up. Appreciate those in the chat. We're going to be right back.